I thought, well, if I just get it, I'm otherwise fit and healthy with no underlying health conditions, then I'll get it, I'll be immune to it, and then I won't have to worry about it anymore. But now, as it's dragging on for so long, and now the more I read they're saying actually we might not get long-term immunity from it, I begin to worry that actually this isn't going to go away anytime soon in terms of A, my own health, but B, that this could recur again in the future. People who say it's like the flu, I don't feel like it's the flu at all. I've had the flu 3 times previously in my life. Flu would come on very suddenly and you would end up in bed feeling absolutely horrendous, unable to move. But this feels very different. I've also never experienced these random bouts of shortness of breath where my oxygen levels drop quite low in any other illness that I've had before. It's been quite a long journey and I feel like I'm still very much on it. I still have daily fever, I still have fatigue that hits me out of nowhere, and I just don't know when it's going to end. It has been really stressful, partly being, I guess, a doctor. You tend to worry about the rarer complications that you read about and hear about. And it's also been incredibly difficult mentally to be stuck at home all this time. I initially just felt a bit dizzy, had a headache that just wouldn't go away and just didn't feel quite right, and then noticed in the afternoon that I'd started to develop some fever. Over the next couple of days, the headache very much persisted and the fever was there, and I suspected, being a GP, that I probably did have COVID, as one of my colleagues had come down with the symptoms the day before me and then subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. On the 3rd day, being a healthcare professional, I was offered a swab, and my husband was as well, because he also had symptoms. He had headache, tummy cramps, no fever, but fatigue and muscle aches. And we also both had this very strange shortness of breath that would just suddenly come upon us, sitting perfectly comfortably, and then suddenly a tight feeling in your chest, and just your breathing just became really quite fast. 48 hours later, we got a text to say that the swab was negative, but I was pretty convinced that this was what we call a false negative and that we definitely did have COVID. On day 6, we developed the cough, and that cough lasted for about 10 days. On day 10 of our illnesses, respectively, we both felt really unwell. We'd heard about the cytokine storm that can make you feel really unwell, and that ended us up in bed just feeling dreadful, really achy, really short of breath, headachy, temperature, and luckily that only lasted for 24 hours. My fevers persisted, and then they started to go up again on day 14, and I ended up phoning 111 because I thought maybe I'd developed a secondary pneumonia because my temperatures were going higher rather than getting lower. And I ended up seeing a nurse in the hot hub at our local hospital, where she did another swab and gave me some antibiotics in case there was an underlying pneumonia. That swab also came back negative. Then my fevers persisted, the daily headaches persisted, the random bouts of shortness of breath persisted. Some days were better than others. Some days I felt I had a bit more energy, but other days were just more tiring. And then on day 20, I think it was, I had a day where I was just breathing fast the entire day. And I felt really quite anxious about that. I'd been reading more and more about people developing blood clots in their lungs. And I started to worry that this is something that was happening to me. So I ended up calling 111 and spoke to a GP who suggested I go up to the local A&E, where I was seen by the medics there who did x-rays and blood tests and told me that everything was normal. So that was quite reassuring at that point. I've also found it particularly challenging as we have 2 young children under the age of 6. They really weren't ill at all. I only noticed they were ill because one of them didn't eat very much one day and I checked the temperature and it was raised. And the other one was complaining of sore knees and I checked his temperature and it was raised, but that really only lasted for 24 hours. And they then developed a cough a few days later, but they bounce back in no time at all, and certainly not what my husband and I have experienced. I do worry about the future. I worry about how long this is going to take to heal. I'm seeing more and more cases of people complaining that they're now in their 60th, 70th day of COVID symptoms and that they don't seem to be getting any better. And I don't want to be one of those statistics. I've also found it frustrating where people have sort of been questioning whether I really do have fever and do I really have COVID because I've had negative tests. I really don't know any other illness that gives a set of symptoms, and have found that a little bit frustrating. One of the things I do to de-stress is go running, and I can't see myself doing that for a very long time. And I also desperately miss just being able to go out and get food from a supermarket, which I've been told that I'm still not allowed to do because I still have fever. So you feel a bit like you're a prisoner trapped in your own home. The message I would have for others is just, wash your hands, be sensible, keep social distancing as much as you can, and try to really take your time. If you get COVID, try to make space to recover. If you've got young kids, you're going to have to try and share it between you and your partner or anyone else that can possibly help you, to just try and rest